International lawyers draft plan to criminalize ecosystem destruction.
Here's a summary of the article.
International lawyers are drafting plans for a legally enforceable crime of ecocide, criminalizing destruction of the world's ecosystems, that is already attracting support from European countries and island nations at risk from rising sea levels. The aim is to draw up a legal definition of ecocide that would complement other existing international offenses such as crimes against humanity, war crimes, and genocide. The project, convened by the Stop Ecocide Foundation at the request of Swedish parliamentarians, has been launched this month to coincide with the 75th anniversary of the opening of the Nuremberg war crimes trials of Nazi leaders in 1945. Several small island nations, including Vanuatu, in the Pacific, and the Maldives, in the Indian Ocean, called for serious consideration of a crime of ecocide at the ICC's annual Assembly of States Parties in December last year. The International Criminal Court, which is based in The Hague, has previously promised to prioritize crimes that result in the destruction of the environment, exploitation of natural resources, and the illegal dispossession of land. An ICC policy paper in 2016 said it was not formally extending its jurisdiction but would assess existing offences, such as crimes against humanity. In a broader context, Mumba, a judge at the Khmer Rouge Tribunal and former Supreme Court judge in Zambia, said, "An international crime of ecocide may be important in that individual, state responsibility may be regulated to achieve balance for the survival of both humanity and nature." Jojo Mehta, the chair of the Stop Ecocide Foundation, told The Guardian, "In most cases ecocide is likely to be a corporate crime. Criminalizing something at the ICC means that nations that have ratified it have to incorporate it into their own national legislation. That means there would be lots of options for prosecuting around the world."
This post received a score of 17,000, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Ah yes, this will surely put fear in the heart of the Brazilian government because they absolutely care about what the world thinks.
Europe is all about talk and greenwashing, but still emitting 4x more CO2 per capita than Brazil.
That's a big issue with European-led climate action. The Europeans are still the imperial bad guys to most nations, and this kinda of laws feel directed towards developing nations, like who is more interested in clear-cutting if not the developing nation trying to catch up to European standards of living.
Developing countries still need restrictions on what they're allowed to do cause it affects the whole world.
What I'm saying is, any restrictions that target developing nations more than European nations are going to be inherently unfair. Even if you guys think the developing nations are doing worse, we can replant trees, but we can't get around the per capita usage by Europeans, and we cannot tell developing nations to not try to catch up.
I agree, but a significant counterpoint to your argument is that there is better, cheaper tech and more knowledge about everything for developing nations to use than European nations had a century or more ago.
Make it simply, make all green technology open source and patent free so the whole world can benefit.
This thread seems to have buried the decent commentary. I suspect some brigading to protect China's interests in asset stripping the world's natural resources, the EU getting blamed for more emissions, but they have advanced economies and are transitioning from fossil fuels to renewables, and acknowledge this as critical. The only emissions agreement came from the heart of the EU. They are also not destroying more ecosystems for resources, so it's complete garbage to make this accusation. Had investment been made, some modest development could have occurred and modern economy that included sustained tourism, manufacturing, construction and services as well as sustainable logging and agriculture, which also would have given the indigenous people a good result and kept emissions largely unchanged. It is also a myth that advanced economies have more emissions. Developing nations tend to use very inefficient energy, heat sources, farming and poor infrastructure that escalates emissions.
Kinda hard to sue a government or a whole country.
No, you just write something else in the part where you enter the defendant's name.
30 years too late.
The best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, the second best time is now.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.